Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back, or welcome to another Bangs audio review. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been almost 2 weeks since I did one of these, and well, as I mentioned in the community section, we were on a little bit of a vacation trip to Cape Cod, which was freaking fantastic. Um, and while I was out there, I was getting to know today's victim, the Juzear X Z Reviews Defiant. So it's a Zeos tuned IEM, tuned in collaboration with Juzear, which is a company that I have had sort of mixed results with. Although I do think that they make good IEMs, I haven't been, let's see, I haven't been like, it hasn't gotten me to the point where I'm like, you gotta go get this. Well, kind of until now. I did not get the Juzear clear base cannon. Um, Maybe that was fairly early on for me, so maybe it was an ear tip issue or a seal issue or something like that. Um, but I also didn't experience what sort of ruined the Butterfly 61T for me, which was the pressure buildup, which did ruin the 61T for me, unfortunately, but it did. Um, so, taking another shot, listen to y'all. A couple of you recommended that, or would, wanted me to review these, so I got them. Hoping for the best, expecting some sort of disappointment to happen. Um, but I wasn't. I wasn't disappointed. A little uncomfortable, yes. Disappointed, no. So let's get to it. The unboxing on this is nice. It's a nice sleeve. It's a nice box. It's nothing elaborate or ornate, but we are talking about a $99 retail, or $99.99. That could vary. US dollars, that is, could vary based on your location. I guess Amazon must have had. Oh no, I picked these up off of Ali, so I think I ended up paying about 15 or 16. I think it was right around the time that they had started to include the tariff fees into the price, which should scare the shit out of you if it hasn't, because that. Sorry to take a little sidetrack, but the fact that they are sort of incorporating that tariff cost into the actual product and not keeping it separate so much anymore. It looks like they're kind of splitting the difference in some ways. That's going to make it difficult for prices to come back down, because now that they've been incorporated into the actual retail price, at least for the US, see, it's a lot easier to just chop the tariff fees off or reduce them based on whatever Trump's whim is that day or that week. But it's a lot more convoluted once it's been incorporated into the retail price. So that is something to watch. I've been making notes of what things used to be versus what things are. And I'm just a little bit concerned that some companies may take advantage of the situation to just permanently raise their prices. Not that I blame them. It's kind of hard to blame them because of what's been going on. But at the same time, it's just pay attention. Proceed with caution, as they might say. Now, if the tariffs are blocked by the Federal Appeals Court, which is going to hear it in a week, and then the Supreme Court holds that, we could be in a much different situation in a couple of weeks, which I'm sure we're all hoping for. But yeah, keep an eye on those prices. Make a short story long, $99.99 retail at this moment on Amazon, North America. You can get them for that. Ollie's kind of all over the place, as you might imagine. So anyway, unboxing. Nice little paper there, sort of cover, protect the IEMs. If I don't rip it. User manual. Tchotchke. I know Zeos loves his tchotchkes, so there's a little stand with his logo on it. It's probably going to stay in the box. No offense, I'm just not really into that kind of stuff. Good selection of ear tips, couple of foams, some normal-ish bore silicone, a little slightly wider bore, like white silicone. They're fine. I didn't use them because you know what I usually use. Oh yeah, this is the covers for the IEMs, so they came protected on the faceplate, and a nice little polishing cloth. And then you have both 3.5 and 4.4 for your termination, so the cable is indeed modular. And you know, I know Zeos is a big proponent of that. I'm sure it was something he was not going to compromise on, and I'm glad he did not, because I am a big proponent of that too. It makes both my listening preference and my measurement requirement a lot easier, just to swap that termination out as needed. I did a really, really light sort of clean and organize. It's just the beginning. Look, this is always going to have a lived-in look. That's part of my thing. So if it's too chaotic for you, I apologize. I am working slowly but surely on trying to clean and organize things, which will lead me to what I'm going to end this video with, and that is the announcement. I'm going to begin selling some of my IEMs that are not going to be either listened to or used for reference in the future for a nice discounted rate. You know, they will have most of what, you know, came in the box with them. If the ear tips are unused, those will be with them. If they've been used, they won't be. But you'll see that list starting to come up in the community section, and we'll have to work out shipping. International, I can't do the whole thing. And in some cases, like if you want a priority with tracking, you're going to have to pay for half of it too. But it should only add about 15 or 20 bucks to the overall price, which is going to be aggressive. I'll just say it will be aggressive because I've got too many, you know. And if I could give them all away and be philanthropic about it, I would. But that is just, you know, that's not real life. So anyway, back to the Juzear. This is going to be build, fit, finish part of the review. There's your 3.5 millimeter termination. Keep that handy. Oh yeah, by the way, case is nice. Very stiff. Leather or pleather, but either way, it's a nice case. It's definitely going to be protective. Yeah, it feels pretty darn sturdy, guys. I like this case a lot. Maybe a little thick for the pocket, but whatever. At least you don't have to worry about crushing them if you sit on them. The cable is really fantastic. You can purchase this separately, at least on HiFiGo, I noticed, for $40. I don't know that it necessarily has the build quality of a $40 cable, but it certainly has a really nice look to it, and it matches the rainbow oyster shell of the IEMs on their faceplate extraordinarily well. So yeah, these are beauties. They feel well made. It's 3D printed resin. That faceplate has a little design on it, and the oyster shell, which fit in perfectly with my little trip last week with the fam to Cape Cod, because Wellfleet oysters are probably some of the world's best. And yeah, just slurp them down raw. They're amazing. So build quality is very, very good. Cable I like. You know, do I love it? No, but it certainly does match, and in that sense, pretty darn cool. So, and obviously modular. So I'm a big fan of that. Let's see, what ear tips do I have on here? Oh yeah, these are the easy tips from Juzear, the SS20s, which ended up being kind of the perfect solution for this set. I'll get into why they needed a solution, as to why they cheated to make them as good as they actually are, which is pretty phenomenal. So fit-wise, no problem. It's a single DD 3BA set, which is the same as the Sleevo SLA3, which was my main comp. Let's see, for specs, you got tuned in collaboration with Z, of course, 3D printed shells. They boast a new mid-range BA with micro perforation pressure relief design. I'm going to dispute that a little bit. although it may have helped. And next generation dynamic driver, whatever that means. Flare cable we went over. Impedance is 32 ohms, so it's a little bit higher, and that's fine. Sensitivity of 109 decibels, which more than makes up for it, so pretty easy to drive. And then you've got your frequency response of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, and it's a 0.782 pin connector with the modular cable. So anyway, yeah, but it's a nice package for the price. I will say that for sure. If I were spending $100, this is what I would want. This is what I would expect. You know, everything leading up into the sonic impressions and graph, which we're about to get to, holds right in line as being, you know, not just very nice, but also very nice value, in my opinion, for this set. Which you don't always run into in collabs, right? I mean, collabs can be they can sometimes be a cash grab or kind of like a kitschy kind of thing, or, you know, whatever the Hades was. You know, it's kind of cool because you say I've got this and it's kind of unique, but I don't really want to listen to it that much. That's not the case with the Juzear Defiant. The Juzear Defiant makes you want to listen to it. It's just a matter of how long you can listen to it. So with that, let's bring up the graph. This graph was kind of like a nice. It was nice that to not have graphing capability while I was testing these out. So it was literally like 9 days of listening exclusively and then comping it with the SLA3, whose graph I should probably bring up if I could find it, because now I'm curious as to how they overlay. I'll see if I can do that as we go. So anyway, discussing the graph, you have a bass shelf, boosted sub bass, plenty of mid bass, and then a nice sort of, I would call it a mild mid-range section. Not super warm, but not like too cold or clinical either. Maybe just a shade, I hate to say thin. Elegant. It's a bit elegant in the mids. And then a very gradual ear gain and a nicely extended treble all the way up until about the air region. So extremely well balanced. Yes, the bass is elevated. But if the bass is going to be elevated, I kind of like to see it a little bit more in the sub bass, because if it's too much mid bass, it can get muddy. These are not muddy. They're very, very clear. You know, they're very well defined and very detail oriented, very clear in their presentation. And possibly because of maybe a little of this, a couple of times while I was listening, fairly holographic. I mean, like maybe more holographic than I've run into with most sets. It's a very, very immersive experience. And I'm not going to say it's like laser precise imaging, but I can say that it is, you feel like you're in the music, right? So if you're a fan of that kind of holographic soundstage or head stage, these are going to be right up your alley, because they do not disappoint in that aspect, which I would imagine perhaps with maybe a slight bit too much on the sub bass for gaming, but I mean, it's going to make you feel like you're in the game. So if you're a gamer, these would be definitely a recommended set for listening. You'll have to do something about the microphone, but I'm sure you can figure that out. You can always get like the Canary Celeste has got a relatively Rui, I think, relatively inexpensive one, which works well, which I've used in videos before. So, what can I say? If I hadn't seen this, I would have felt like it was a little bit more energetic in the ear gain, but not to the point where it's anywhere close to being shouty. And I also, based on the detail and the soundstage, detail retrieval, clarity, soundstage, I thought that the treble was going to be a little bit higher. Like I would have put it like a couple 3 decibels higher up. That's how it presents because that is the level of detail and immersion that you get from this set. It feels like it has more treble, but it's very smooth, very polished. Um, just a really nice, like for treble sensitive people, a really nice presentation. Now, some of y'all might pick up this 13 to 14K peak. I did a little bit. It wasn't bothersome, but it's there. So you just need to know about that. However, not super BA timbre, like it doesn't get that sort of hissy thing going on. So it just, presents, but it doesn't like annoy. I guess that's the best way to put it. So, I'd like to make a special sort of, what did I listen to primarily with this set? If you're watching this review, which you probably aren't or won't, but I listen to a lot of metal. Like a ton of metal. Like more metal than you've listened to in your entire life, I'm going to guess. Zeos. I know how much you love metal. Anyway, happy to say, despite him not being a fan of metal, these were, and they did very well with that genre, as well as every other genre that I threw at them. They're an all-rounder because they've got that fun bassy aspect, and then they have the really good technical, really clear treble aspect to it, and the mids are there. They're not too recessed. They're just a little bit elegant, right? So not a ton of mids in presence, but what is there is definitely good. So I would say for an all-rounder set, like if this is what they went for, then they nailed it. Like they really nailed it. It's high performing but still fun. The only thing I think that it lacks is a little bit of musicality and a little bit of naturalness, but I'm willing to forgive that because of the tuning is just so spot on. Like it's really like this the driver configuration and the tuning, like peanut butter and jelly, like perfect. So I was very impressed. I was not impressed by one thing, and you already know what I'm going to talk about here because I kind of alluded to it. But it's the pressure buildup once again. Now, is it as extreme as the 6.1T? No, it is not. It does not have the butterfly level of pressure, and that might be due to the micro perforated mid-range BAs. But when I say they kind of cheated to get this to perform the way that it is, that's what I mean. Because if you don't have enough proper venting, that there's a pressure buildup to get the performance and like the tonality that you want, that's cheating, in my opinion. So like I appreciate the fact that they did something about it with the mid-range BA, but the high, like the tweeter BAs, I'm guessing are the ones that are creating the pressure buildup in this set, and therefore are going to take it off the table for people that are pressure sensitive. Hazy, my man, these are not going to work for you. I'm sorry. They're just going to be. If you think that the Meyer audio sets have pressure buildup issues, then there's no way that this is going to stay in your ears for more than a song or two tops. I was able to tolerate them once I got the tip situation straightened out, and I'll tell you what I went through. First tried the stock tips, didn't have a good fit. Didn't know there was a pressure buildup at that point. Then Divinous Velvet, bang. I was like, shit. And so I was like, well, what am I going to do about this? So I went to the Tangsu Tang Sanchai wide bore, which helped, but took too much bass out. Like it just it didn't sound right. They sounded good, but they just sounded thin. And so I couldn't do those, and I was like, hey, I've got those easy tips. I've got a bunch of them. So I put on the Wizard easy tips, the SS20s, and the pressure was reduced enough to make it tolerable, and the bass presence was still almost, it was like 95% of the way there as it was with the Divinus Velvet. I also tried Final Type E. Again, pressure buildup was a little bit too much. So I'd say that these were the tips that worked for me. Now, your mileage may vary. YMMV. Sorry. I don't know why I just said it like that. These were my solution. Your solution might be different, and if you don't have issues with pressure, like if you're not that sensitive to it, then you can kind of use whatever tips you want on them. You know, whatever gives you the best seal and the best experience sonically. But for me and for anybody who is pressure sensitive, the SS tips were the nice balance of some pressure relief but still sonic like compatibility. So that'd be my recommendation. Do I recommend these? 100%. They're super high performing. My other standard bearer right now is the SA3, Slevo SA3 from Meyer Audio. Not coincidentally, also a rainbowy oyster shell. So these guys went head to head to head to head to head to head while I was on vacation. Whenever I was able to. You know, I usually get a couple hours in the morning because I wake up really early out there. The sun rises at 5 a.m. And then after everybody goes to bed, I'll get another hour at night. Of course, I'm in different frames of mind during those different times. So it was a good sort of, even though it wasn't a ton of listening time, it was a good sort of, all-around experience. And, you know, I'm still going with the SA3. And I'll tell you why. I think these are more musical and more natural, and they are just as technically proficient. Maybe just a slight edge in resolution to the Defiant, but not by enough to make me say they're better. And I don't experience, as you can see with the Divinus Velvet tips on them, I don't experience any pressure buildup with the SA3 at all, versus having to use, go through a bunch of tips and ending up on one that worked. I don't have that problem with the SA3. I can use whatever tips I'm in the mood for on those. So I'm still saying the SA3 is the superior set, slightly sonically, with that musical and natural sort of feel, but also because of the pressure not being an issue for me. But the Defiant, damn close. I mean, close enough so that I could say they're highly recommended, keeping that pressure sensitivity in mind, please. And they're an insane value for $100 or less. I mean, really, like, props to Z, props to Zeos for this. Not just for the quality and the cable and the accessories, the sonics, but also the price. Thank you for releasing something that is 100% worth $100 all day long, every day. So, well done, sir. That's what I will say. Yeah, for now, I think just keep your eye. I'm gonna catch up a little bit this week, so keep your eye out. Probably gonna hit another review Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not sure which one that is going to be yet, but stay tuned and I'll keep you posted. And then towards the later part of the week, I will have a partial list of items for sale from the collection for y'all to peruse. Not going to do a whole video on it because it's easier if I list it in the community section. For now, and we're not going to do bidding, okay? It's just like there's going to be prices out there. There might be a little bit of room to haggle, but I'm going to, like I said, be fairly aggressive with the pricing on them because I need to sell some. I don't know how. I've got like 150 here or something. It's stupid. Yeah. Anyway, so look forward to that. Look forward to the next review in a couple of days. Be careful. Be safe. Be nice. Love y'all. Nothing but peace to you. We'll see ya.